Hi, this is Renina Mentor of Sunshine Living, and welcome back to my channel. So, today I'm going to talk about how being positive too often can be just as bad as being negative too often. And I'm going to go over the reasons why. So, let's get into it. So, I have notes as I often do, but we're going to talk about three reasons why um, being too negative is just as bad as being too positive. And so the first is a little something called toxic positivity. Now, what toxic positivity is, it is the dishonoring of the present moment, of how you actually feel, and of what's actually going on in your life in a way that dishonors you, dishonors the situation, and dishonors other people. There's actually value in living in the moment and honoring exactly what you think and exactly what you feel. So, why then is positivity considered toxic? So, the first thing that we must understand is toxic positivity and negativity are two ends of a spectrum, right? And what we've learned and what I've learned in mental health is in order to have well balanced mental health, you really want to be able to handle things as they come and honor how you feel in those things as they come. And so if I am too negative all the time, that can impact my mental health. But if I'm also too positive all the time, that can impact my mental health. And so ultimately, toxic positivity is trying to show us that we need to get out of this sort of black and white thinking that the mind does. What happens a lot of times is a person is struggling with being too negative, right? We all want to be more positive. And again, nothing wrong with that. But what happens is if we're struggling with being negative and then we say, no, that's not really what it is, I need to just be positive. What we've done in that moment is we've dishonored how we feel. We've dishonored the actual moment and what's going on. And we have skipped over the process of allowing positivity to happen on its own and in its own time. And so ultimately toxic positivity is teaching us that being positive too quickly after negativity is also a form of not being mindful and not living in the moment. So that's the first point. The first point is understanding what toxic positivity really is, right? Number two, we know that going from negative to positive or just being positive all the time is also not psychologically, emotionally, or even spiritually healthy. It is a form of dishonoring or honoring ourselves and dishonoring the moment. Ultimately, what we're saying is, or what I'm saying is, if you are having a challenging day, if you're having a tough day, there is a part of us that wants to say, well, no, everything's fine, everything's okay. The reason why that's a problem is because you actually escape or avoid the importance of where you are. How you feel in any particular moment, whether you're having a challenging day or you're having an interaction with someone that doesn't make you feel good, or you just woke up and you felt anxious or overwhelmed, there is actually more value in sitting in that moment in order to figure out what's going on, processing through what's going on, and figuring out what you need is actually the most valuable part of that moment, as opposed to just pretending like everything is okay. A lot of times, especially culturally, especially with women, we have been taught to just be nice, to be agreeable, to be pleasant all the time, and those things have their place, right? It's important to want to be positive and pleasant and agreeable at times, but we don't want to be those things in spite of ourselves, right? It is one thing to be pleasant, and it's another thing to dishonor how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking in order to be pleasant. The goal is for us to get to that in a more natural way, which we'll get into in a moment. So, number two, it is emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually unhealthy. It's a form of dishonoring yourself. Number three, it continues to teach this false belief that we need to be perfect, we need to be nice, we need to be agreeable, and that positivity is the goal. Ultimately, when we are going from negativity to positivity or constantly always saying, no, I'm just going to be positive. No, I'm just going to be positive. No, I'm just going to be positive. When we do that, what we do is we don't allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel. And we also don't we work against the truth, right? The truth is all of our feelings, all of our thoughts, the things that come up that may be seen as negative actually have value. They have value because they're trying to teach us something about ourselves. If we were to have a day where we actually honored ourselves and felt what we need to feel, we don't necessarily have to tell everyone how we feel. We don't necessarily have to put it on anyone or blame anyone for it. But if we just honored how we feel in those moments where we were feeling negative, we would figure out what was going on with ourselves, and positivity would happen more naturally. And that's the goal. So the third point is it continues to teach this false belief that being positive is the goal and that everyone needs to be positive instead of teaching and helping us understand that life isn't always positive. There are bad things that are happening in life. And if we are forcing ourselves to be positive all the time, we are not only dishonoring ourselves, we're not allowing ourselves to come up with solutions. We're not allowing ourselves to feel what we need to feel. We're not seeing the value in life and what life actually is. Life is going to continue to be what it is. Life continues to be lifing, basically. So, life is, and what I mean by that is life has ups and it has downs, and that's okay. It is the ups and the downs that help us become a better version of ourselves, help us learn things about ourselves, and it actually helps us be more of the person that we want to be. So, whether we like it or not, we need all of that. We need the positive, we need the negative, so that we can find our middle ground and be able to say, today might not be a fabulous day, and it might not be the worst day of my life, but it's challenging, right? We want to be able to more often hold this middle ground, and that's the goal. So, what do we do? Instead of jumping to from negativity to positivity or only focusing on being positive, what do we do? Number one, we acknowledge the truth and the reality of what we're experiencing. And we try to do that in a way that's more neutral, right? Um, and by doing that, by acknowledging the truth of where we are and what's going on, we actually give ourselves the power to be able to navigate that instead of ignoring, pushing away, and pretending that negative things aren't happening or challenging things aren't happening. Number two, we accept that how we feel and what we think, even though they're uncomfortable, they have value and they have purpose, right? If I can honor that some days I do feel sad and some days I do feel overwhelmed, it is more likely as I feel through those things that I'll get to a place of being more positive, that it isn't fake, it isn't pretending, it isn't dismissing of myself and what I think and how I feel. All right, so that was number two. Number three, it allows us to stand in our power. We stand in our power by being able to face and acknowledge exactly where we are, exactly what we're thinking, exactly what we're feeling, right? Not necessarily putting it on anyone, but just feeling those things and thinking those things to be able to ask ourselves, what do I do? Why do I feel this way? What changes do I need to make in order to see things differently, think differently, right? So we do that in a way that honors not only ourselves, but our experience and also our relationships and everything and everyone around us, which is really important. So tell me, what do you think? What do you think about this concept of avoiding or releasing or reducing toxic positivity? What do you think about this comparison that positivity can be just as bad as negativity? I look forward to hearing what you think. If you disagree with me, that's okay. Make some comments in the chat. ask a question, get some clarification if you need to. And as I do in all of my videos, go forth and shine on the world.